Yo, what's going on everyone? The Cool Geek here, and I'm back to another video, and today I'm going to be debating someone on whether or not Sakura is useless. Before we get into it, shout out to Bravo for recording this, link to his channel in the description. Anyway, let's get into it.
Okay, nice. Alright, I started the recording. Just whenever you guys are ready.
All right. Yeah. All right. So, do you wanna? I mean, I'm pretty sure I know everything you're gonna say from last time, but I guess can you like go over, the basic fundamentals on why you think Sakura is useless? Because I
Okay.
basically just think she's not useless, overall.
Okay. Okay. So the main reason why that I say that she's useless is because let me go on these points. So back to the Zabuza fight. I mean, yeah, her job was to protect the old guy, right? The old guy that was building the bridge, right? The Naruto bridge that they ended up naming after. So even though that was her job to protect them, she really didn't do anything else besides that. And then during the pain fight, I mean, during that whole fight, her job was to heal because she's a medical ninja, right? So she was using Sanade snails to, heal injured Jonin or injured civilians, right? But when Hinata came, her job, she didn't really necessarily have a job, but she still did more during that fight than Sakura did. So that's another reason why I say she was useless. She was useful for doing her actual job, but useless for the overall fight. And then let's see, during the Great War, the Fourth Great Ninja War, um, so during that fight, the only time she was really useful was when she helped Obito with time space because of the fact that Kage put Sasuke in another dimension during time space. So Sakura helped Obito with her 100 what the thing that Sanade gave her, right? She helped Obito gave
Yeah.
her chakra to Obito, to help bring back Sasuke to their dimension so they can bring back or not bring back so they can sell Kagyo, right? And she did heal. She did do damage to Kagyo, but with one punch. And this is kind of stupid. I'm bringing up another what if scenario, but if it were just Kaguya and Sakura, I'm pretty sure Sakura would not even have a chance, right? So that's kind of why I say
Okay.
that Sakura is useless, even though that what if scenario at the end's kind of sus. But yeah,
Yeah, I'll go over that in a sec. Yeah, yeah.
okay,
So
okay.
cool. Now that you've shotgunned, let's go over this. So
Oh, and
first, you brought up
no,
the Zabuza thing.
uh-huh.
Oh, wait, what were you gonna say? I'm
Oh,
assuming you were
uh,
gonna say the Chio thing.
I was just gonna say another point that this one's kind of dumb, and I don't know, but so during back in the original Naruto, when they're like all kids, during the tuning exams, she really didn't do anything, if that makes sense. Like when she was fighting Ino, it just ended up becoming a draw towards the end, and they ended up just like cutting each other's hair. Like that was a little weird. I don't know if that's kind of irrelevant to the main point, but I was just kind of using it as an example. And then plus during other than that, when she didn't even volunteer to go help retrieve Sasuke. When Neji, all of them volunteered when she didn't. She didn't even like volunteer, even though Sasuke is like the love of her life. She didn't even volunteer to even try to go. If that makes sense.
All right, I got you. Yeah.
Yeah.
So first, let's start off with the Zabuza thing. Now, the
Okay.
Zabuza thing, I think she was definitely useful, right? So do you know why they went on the mission in the first place?
I actually can't remember because I haven't seen the original Naruto series for a fat minute, so I don't remember, to be honest.
Got it. So
Mm-hmm.
basically, the reason they went on the mission is to
Mm-hmm.
escort the bridge builder back to his country,
Mm-hmm.
and not let him die. So all the
Okay.
other fights and stuff are just byproducts of them needing to keep the bridge builder alive.
Yeah.
Now,
Yeah.
if Sakura did
Main of the
go and
point, main
fight,
of the
right? Because I
mission.
know you like to deal. Yeah, so I know you like to deal
Yeah.
in hypotheticals, right? So let's say
Yeah.
if
Like the
Sakura
what if
did go and
scenarios
help
and stuff.
Naruto and Sasuke to fight Haku. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Now, keep in mind, Haku did not want to kill Naruto and Sasuke. He just wanted to
Mhm.
help Zabuza. So,
Yeah.
if Sakura went to fight Haku 1v1, it would have been infinitely easier to kill the bridge builder, which was Haku's mission. Keep that in mind.
Yeah.
Haku and
Yeah.
Zabuza's mission was to kill the bridge builder. Naruto and
Mhm.
Sasuke and Sakura and Kakashi were just not letting him die. So, if the bridge
Yeah.
builder is just sitting here all alone, because Sakura, neglected her job and went to go fight Haku. Haku would
Mhm.
have used his light speed ice mirrors against this
Mhm.
Sakura who's maybe the speed of sound question mark. And
Yeah.
same with Naruto and Sasuke. All of them at this point are like the speed of sound. So Haku would
Mhm.
have blitzed all of them and just killed the bridge builder. It would have been that. Their mission would have been failed. They would have just went home. They wouldn't have
Yeah.
got the money because how do you get money from someone who's dead? They would have failed the
Yeah.
mission. So
Mhm.
that's Sakura being, if anything, her staying there was more useful than going to fight Haku because again, there would have been no one by the bridge builder. Haku could have just zipped over there at the speed of light and slit his throat, and that would have just been that.
Okay.
So, you want to move on to the next thing? I think you said the next thing was what was it? I guess we can go over the tuning exams. I think that was the next
Yeah.
one in
The
chronological
one.
order of like the
Yeah.
time
The
it
one with
happened.
her. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, her and Ino, right?
Mhm.
So the thing about the tuning exams is you're only looking at that fight as a whole in the tuning exams, right? When
Mhm.
Naruto and Sasuke got body slammed, by Orochimaru, Sakura was keeping down Sasuke's fever and also watching over Naruto to make sure Orochimaru didn't come back. As a matter of
Mhm.
fact, she set up traps. The entire reason she knew the Sound Four was not the Sound Four, but the Sound
Yeah.
Guinea were coming
Mhm.
is because she did set up traps. She did do all this work to be useful, right?
Mhm.
And it was a
Mhm.
use, right? As we know, she noticed they were coming before they came.
Uh-huh.
Also, I don't know if you know this, but the entire reason fevers are dangerous is because you can bake your brain. Like that's a real thing, by the way. If you have a fever that's too high, your brain cells will start frying and you'll literally become retarded. Like that's not even a
Yeah.
joke. Like
Yeah.
you can
Yeah.
actually get stupid from having a fever.
Yeah.
So the
Mhm.
fact that she was keeping Sasuke's fever down was her keeping him from losing his brain cells. And without Sasuke, right, if she just would have, went off trying to fight someone and his fever went too high, then
Mhm.
now you have a brain dead Sasuke and now there's only a two-man team. That would have
Yeah.
been really bad.
Yeah.
Also the fight with Ino. That I don't know if you know this, but Sakura was actually the underdog in that fight. Ino is from the Yamanaka clan. They're known for being
Yeah.
really strong, right? They have this
Yeah.
jutsu where they can, take over your mind and do whatever, right?
Mhm.
Sakura was actually so strong in that instance, right? She showed that she's been improving, right? To the
Mhm.
point where Kakashi says, "Yeah, she has the best chakra control in the among you three Guinea, right? Even
Yeah.
better than Sasuke's, right?"
Mhm.
Now, this is later backed up by the fact that when Ino lands the mind transfer jutsu, right?
Mhm.
Which, by the way, caught everyone off guard.
Mhm. She
Everyone in the
got.
stand thought Ino just was retarded and she was just gonna lose, right? So she
Yeah.
literally mind hacks everyone in the audience to thinking she was retarded, and Sakura fell
Mhm.
for it too. That's not an anti feat for Sakura. Then when
Mhm.
Sakura got hit by the man transfer jutsu, she literally flexed it off.
Mhm.
Literally, everyone, and I think even Kakashi was like, "Yo, did she make a second mind in her mind to
Yeah.
overthrow Ino? Like, what? That doesn't happen, right?" So
Mhm.
despite being the underdog, again, Ino has this prestigious clan. Sakura has literally nothing. Like, who are her parents? What is the Yamanaka clan? Like,
Mhm.
I mean, no, not the Yamanaka. The one that Sakura's
The
from, the Haruno
yeah.
clan. Sorry.
The yeah.
What is the
Furno clan.
Haruno
Yeah.
clan? It's literally nothing. Yeah,
Mhm.
so it's literally nothing. So despite being the underdog, she's still tied with this person by doing something that shouldn't have happened. Like she literally
Okay.
created a second mind
Okay.
in her mind
Okay.
to overpower Ino's mind. So she was definitely useful in the tuning exams.
Okay.
Um, let's see. Now the pain fight. I believe,
Pain
yeah, the
fight. Yeah.
pain fight.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, the thing about the pain fight is, do you know the reason that Naruto went to fight Pain?
No, I don't. I haven't. I just barely
Oh,
recently
okay.
finished Naruto Shippuden. And I kind
Okay.
of like after I watched the Pain arc, I stopped watching Naruto Shippuden for like a whole month, and then continued on. So what I just previously watched, I kind of like forgot.
Okay, that's fair.
If that makes sense.
So the entire so for context, the villagers were fighting Pain because they didn't want him to get Naruto. They didn't want to
Oh
give up
yeah,
any
because
information on where Naruto
Senpi's a
was
Jinchuriki.
and all that stuff. Yeah,
Yeah,
and Naruto came to the village because people were dying. So Naruto's entire goal was to not let anyone die. So
yeah,
Hinata, like this is shown when Hinata showed up and Naruto was like, "Bro, what are you doing? Leave! Don't get killed." That's the entire reason I'm getting killed is because I don't want you guys to die. So if
yeah.
Sakura would have came, and I would argue that Naruto feels more actual emotions for Hinata, even though he doesn't know it because he's dumb.
Yeah,
Naruto did have a more emotional connections with Hinata. So if
yeah,
Sakura would have gotten beat up, she just would have gotten beat up, and that would have been that. It just would have been over. Um,
yeah,
and then the villagers would have just died, and Naruto's efforts would have been for nothing. Because
yeah.
again, all of Naruto's efforts was to keep the other villagers alive. So
Mm-hmm.
Sakura healing everyone is probably the most direct of somebody doing what Naruto wants. So she was definitely super useful. And besides, right, no one
Mm-hmm.
knew that. Like, if we're going through the hypotheticals, right, what if Pain didn't do the Rene rebirth? What if Nagato never did that? He didn't revive anyone.
Oh. Mm-hmm.
Then even more people would have stayed dead, right? Then all the
Mm-hmm.
people that Sakura healed, and yeah, it was Tsunade there as well. But again, even
Mm-hmm.
if Pain didn't do the Rene rebirth, Tsunade wasn't there. Especially if Tsunade wasn't there, I would argue.
Mm-hmm.
Hold on
Mm-hmm.
one sec.
I'll bet.
Dude, somebody at Geek's Orphanage is playing 2015 Top Hits, bro.
Sorry about that. I thought someone called me. I'm gonna be
You're
yelling
good.
in the recording. Anyway, so yeah, so it's like I was saying. So especially if Lady Tsunade wasn't there to heal anyone, literally after Naruto, if he beat Pain, let's say Hinata still did her thing, and after Sakura died, Hinata, Hinata saved Naruto or whatever. Then
Yeah.
all the other people that Sakura saved would have been dead, and Naruto would have been like, "Well, man, I'm alive, but everyone else is dead." Like
Yeah.
then there would have been no Leaf Village, right? All of the other
Mm-hmm.
the other like ninja would have just stayed dead, and
Yeah.
like the reason ninjas exist is to make money for their country, right? So if
Mm-hmm.
everyone just died, all the ninja, then um then the land of fire would be broke. They would just be so poor they wouldn't be able to do anything, and the entire village, potentially even Naruto, could starve to death, have terrible living conditions, and just not be able to rebuild the village because you need people
Mm-hmm.
to rebuild a village for people to live, right?
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I would argue that it's definitely very, very useful to save everyone in the village from dying. Um, more so than just dying and then everyone else dies and then it's just more people dead.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Um, now on to the what else? Do you want to go over the Lady Chio thing?
Uh, yeah. Let's go over that one.
Okay. So the thing about the Lady Chio thing is your main argument, if I remember correctly, was Chio. Like most of it was Chio, correct? Like Chio,
Yeah.
was very helpful, and Sakura probably couldn't have done it without her. Okay,
Yeah.
so I would sort of argue against that by saying I don't think Chio pulled more of the weight. I think they pulled a relative amount of weight, if not Sakura doing slightly more. Let me explain why. So Sakura, when she got to the Sand Village, what she did was she immediately made an antidote to Sasori's poison, so that if either of them gets stabbed, she can, give herself or Chio the antidote, right? And then they can get healed. By the way, she also healed Konkuro, which is also very important. She healed Konkuro as well. And in the actual fight, at first, Chio was using Sakura like a puppet because Chio could read Sasori's movements, right? But about, I think, a third to midway through the fight, Chio made sure to point out specifically, like this was something that was a major point during the fight, that Chio said, yeah, she doesn't need my help anymore. She has Sasori's movement patterns down, right? And then, every time anything happened where one of like Sakura would get cut, she would inject herself with the poison that she had made. And and also Chio wasn't physically strong enough to beat Sasori. Sakura exploded him 3 times. She exploded the
Mhm.
Hiroko shell. She exploded his third Kazekage puppet and his main puppet body. He may not have died from that, but that still is. Here's the thing: Sasori, basically when he knew he was done for, spilled the beans about, what was going on. He wouldn't have done that if Sakura wouldn't have exploded his puppets, right? Because if you're a puppet master, what happens when you lose all your puppets, right? You can't do anything anymore.
Exactly.
So, I'd argue via that. Yeah, so I would argue via that, she was very, very useful in that fight. Because again, the only thing Chio really did, that entire time was use her as a puppet during the beginning of the fight. So the rest of it wasn't that. And also when Sasori used the 100 puppets jutsu, most of the puppets got negged by Sakura. Chio took down a few of them, but Sakura took
Mhm.
down more of them. And also her speed too. Her speed was really good. It's even stated in one of the data books that
Mhm.
after she gets used to Sasori's like weird movements, that she's
Mhm.
able to evade them with her own speed and like dodging
Mhm.
techniques. Hashtag Walter Instinct. What? Who said that?
Mhm.
Anyway, um, so that's the main thing with that fight. And also you can maybe bring up, well, if it wasn't for Chio, she would have died because she wouldn't have read the movements. By that same logic, we can say like, well, in the pain fight, Naruto needed Hinata or else he would have died. Therefore, Naruto's useless. Or he needed Sasuke's help in the fight with Haku. Therefore, he's useless. Or in
Mhm.
the fight with what's another example? In the fight with Obito, he needed Sasuke's help. Therefore, he's useless. Or he needed Sasuke's help in the fight with Madara. Or he needed Sasuke and Sakura's help in the fight with Kaguya. Therefore, he's double useless because he needed Sakura. um,
Okay.
I guess after
So,
that would be what?
all right. So I agree and disagree that. So I agree that she's more useful than we think, but the reason why I also still disagree that she's still like useless just a little bit is because you like the points that you're giving, like so let's say like back to the point how like if it wasn't for Sasuke during the Kaguya fight, Naruto would be useless, right? But the thing is with
Mm-hmm.
that fight, it is needed for Sasuke to be there. If Sasuke isn't there, they can't seal Kaguya away. Like it's
That
literally
was the point.
yeah. It's kind of like
But without Sakura, Chio wouldn't have beat Sasori. I brought that up.
yeah, and so that's why I still kind of like I agree that she's more useful than we think she is, but I'd still say that she's still useless at the same time.
What do you mean by useless? Okay, so
Because
since we've went over all of that, define useless. What does that mean?
okay, okay. So the reason why I still say that she's useless is because okay, so let's go back to the pain fight. Like you know how you said that she's useful because if during the pain fight, if she didn't do her job as a medical ninja and start healing Jonin, and how you said that if Nagato or AKA Pain didn't use Rene Rebirth to bring about the Jonin, right? And like how you said, if they didn't do that, um, and if Sakura wasn't there to heal, all of them would be dead. The Lay Village would be poor. It wouldn't even like exist. The Land of Fire wouldn't exist, right? But the thing is,
Yeah.
if Nagato, aka Pain, didn't use Rene Rebirth, he ended up when Nagato did use Rene Rebirth, he revived a lot of dead people. So even if so let's say in the scenario that he didn't use Rene Rebirth, even if Sakura managed to heal a lot of people, there would still be a lot of Jonin and still a lot of civilians still ended up dead that she wouldn't be able to save. So there would be more people dead than alive, if that makes any sense.
You're saying like there'd be more people for Pain to revive if
Yeah.
Sakura didn't do her job?
Okay,
Okay.
no. Let
So
me
I
rephrase
mean,
it. Kind of like so you know how Sakura, like during the whole pain fight, Sakura was in the process of healing, right? During the whole pain fight, right?
mhm,
And then you know
yeah.
how Nagato doesn't tell a story about Yahiko and Konan and all of that,
Mhm,
and then after he tells Naruto's story, then Naruto talks and talks like uses talk no jutsu in order to use
mhm,
rename rebirth, right? So okay,
mhm.
so the people that Sakura was reviving wasn't as enough as the people that Nagato used Rinne Birth to revive, right? So even
Oh,
if
you're
so the point
saying Nagato. So all that would mean is that that Nagato was more useful in terms of reviving people than Sakura, but the kicker is he killed them in the first place, right?
yeah,
So that
that
would
is true.
just
He
mean
did kill
that
him.
that literally cancels it out. That like literally, if you think saving a life is equal to taking a life, then literally he would just be on an even playing field, and it wouldn't mean anything.
Yo, Alex,
You
you there?
still there?
Okay, sorry about that. All right, and then okay, another point. Let's see. Let's go back to let's say I'm trying to think of another point that would be good. Okay, let's go back to the we didn't really go over this one. It's the one with Kaguya, right, in the fourth grade ninja war. But the
Oh
reason why I say
yeah, I'll go over that right now.
okay, bet,
Yeah, because I didn't
bet,
address that yet.
bet.
So basically, right, the thing about that is she did a few good, quite a few things in that fight, right? Like she gave
Mm-hmm.
Obito the chakra to save Sasuke. And also she did punch Kage in the back of the head. Now, I'm
Mm-hmm.
just gonna basically argue that those two things are make her they fix her not doing anything in the rest of the fight, and I'll elaborate a little more. Even if you don't
Mm-hmm.
want to accept that entirely. So the
Yeah.
reason that's such a big deal is because you already agreed, right? That Sasuke's literally, like if Sasuke's not there, they're not beating Kaguya. Period. No way,
Yeah.
because you need the yin and the yang half of the seals. So
Yeah.
her
Pretty
saving
much.
Sasuke is literally it's borderline her being half of the ceiling of Kaguya, at least half of Sasuke,
Oh,
because
okay.
literally if
So you're
Sasuke gets doo-dooed on,
okay. So you're pretty much saying that if it wasn't for Sakura using her chakra to Obito to bring back Sasuke, so you're pretty much saying if it wasn't for that the war could have ended in a different way, pretty much.
yeah.
Like if it wasn't for
Actually,
that
I'm pretty sure.
Sasuke.
I don't even think could have does it justice. I think it definitely would have ended right there if Sasuke, got BFR'd. Because again, that's the only way they had to beat Kaguya. Literally, Sasuke and Naruto was the only way, and she did this
Mm-hmm.
twice, right? She saved Sasuke from being BFR'd and like being not being able to seal, and also when she punched Kage in the back of the head, the context for that is Naruto and Sasuke were trying to seal her, and she was escaping. She was flying away. Like she was like Kaguya was just gonna fly away and drop some jutsu on them to kill them, right? Because at that point, Kaguya was going for blood, right? They had already, messed her up with Boyo release and all this other stuff and all their big brain plans, and she was running out of chakra, so she was like, you know what, forget it. I'm just gonna nuke these retards, right? So after Naruto and Sasuke go, she tries to fly away. Sakura's like, hey, don't forget I'm here. Boom! And knocks her down into the literal hands of Naruto and Sasuke. Like that's not even like hype like a paraphrase or an exaggeration. Literally the
Mm-hmm.
seals are on their palms, and she punched Kaguya at the exact perfect angle and like force to put Kaguya into their actual palms for them to seal her away. That's like if that's literally the equivalent of if of say Osama bin Laden was still alive, right, or Hitler or
Mm-hmm.
someone,
Mm-hmm.
and
Yeah.
there's a two pillars that are like for some reason they move or something, and if you put them and touch Hitler, Hitler dies or something, and
Mm-hmm.
you have this person who Hitler, let's say Hitler can fly for some reason. He starts flying above the pillars, and
Mm-hmm.
you hit Hitler, boom, knock him down into the pillars, and he's dead. Like that and Hitler and for this, analogy, Hitler isn't just, someone who terrorizes America. For some reason, he terrorizes the planet, right? He's gonna like turn the entire planet into his slaves. Well, to be fair, it wasn't just America, but I'm an
Mhm.
American, so it was basically just America.
Yeah.
um,
Yeah.
but so he's terrorizing the entire planet, turning everyone to slaves, and because Hitler did have allies, right? So it wasn't technically the entire planet, but let's for some
Mhm.
reason say that it's literally the whole planet. It's Hitler against the world.
Mhm.
So yeah, you basically just saved the world. That like Sakura, you can argue carried just as much weight in that fight as Naruto and Sasuke. Because again, if it wasn't for Sakura punching downwards, Kaguya would have just flown away and blasted them from a range. And again,
Mhm.
she saved Sasuke's life from being BFR'd, and so yeah, so she did double good.
Mhm. Okay. So another reason why that I still somewhat say that she's still useless is because if you go back to the tuning exams, okay, so this was before the fight with Ino and her. Like it was when they were doing when they had to get the two scrolls during the actual it was like the second, or yeah, it was the second test for the tuning exams.
Yeah.
It was when Sasuke got his Christmas, right? And you know how it makes him a lot stronger. That's why he kind of went with Orochimaru towards the end of the show.
Mhm.
So and when they were fighting those three Sound Ninja, um, Sakura pretty much didn't do anything during the whole fight. All she did was cut off her like a ponytail over her hair. That's all she did, and literally and just got
Okay,
like
we can go on that
destroyed
point.
by that girl, like the girl Sound Ninja.
Okay, yeah, I got you. So
Yeah,
in that
yeah.
fight, it wasn't just Sakura versus the girl Sound Ninja. At that point, Lee had just gotten body slammed, and so it was Sakura versus the three of them. Or yeah, it was the three of them, right? Because
Mhm.
maybe not Dosu. Maybe Dosu didn't do anything. But even if you
Yeah.
discount Dosu, it doesn't matter.
Mhm.
It's the guy with the things on his palms and the girl, right? It's them two versus Sakura one. Now,
Mhm.
a lot of people make fun of Sakura for biting the guy, but that's not true. She did stab him. She stabbed him and bit him. And this is all buying time because, again, Rock Lee just got bodied into the floor. And this is the same Rock Lee that beat up Sasuke literally like 4 or 5 chapters previously.
Yeah.
So that's a really big deal. Sakura's taking on someone who literally beat someone who's stronger than Sasuke. So I don't
Mhm.
think unless you want to say base Sasuke is useless, there's no way you can claim that Sakura is useless for losing to someone who beat Sasuke. You know what I mean? And you'd
Mhm.
also have to say that Lee is useless because
Mhm.
Lee also lost. And now in addition to cutting off her hair, right? Because that wasn't the only thing she did. She cut off her hair, she bit and stabbed one of the guys. But more importantly, she, like I mentioned earlier, that's not the only thing she did, right? She stopped Sasuke because you just brought up how Sasuke gets stronger with the curse mark. Well,
Mhm.
the Sasuke, because that's what I was talking about when I mentioned earlier that that Sakura put the get his fever down. So she put a damp towel, right, on his forehead to keep his fever down, which again would have fried his brain. So if it wasn't for Sakura, again, um, putting the towel on his head and fighting, putting the towel on Sasuke's head, fighting someone who just bopped Lee and this other girl at the same time,
Mhm.
Sasuke would have died from getting overheated, and B, he would have killed Naruto. So literally, Sakura fighting them, and potentially Lee, because Lee was just laying there, and he could have
Mhm.
got killed. Actually, now that I think about it, they did plan to do that. They planned
Mhm.
to kill Lee, and they planned to just take Sasuke to Orochimaru, and he might have been
Mhm.
brain dead afterward because his brain
Yeah.
got cooked from having a fever. But um, but they plan to kill Naruto, Sakura, and Rock Lee. So Sakura fighting them, it stalled for time for what do you call it? For Sasuke to be like, "Hey, back up," and break the one guy with the thing on his palm's arms,
Yeah.
and scare them away, cuz Lee would have died and Naruto would have died, the same Naruto who's the main character that ended up beating Pain, ended up convincing Gaara to be a good guy, and all this other stuff, beating Kaguya, beating Madara, beating Obito, all this stuff, right? This Sakura saved that guy, and that's pretty consistent too. She saves Naruto quite a few times throughout the series. She saves Naruto in that instance. She saves Naruto when he's about to die, and this was a point brought up in your debate with Jude,
Mm-hmm.
aka Bravo,
Yeah.
and that was very like I think you were downplaying what that was like very hard.
Yeah.
So the tail okay, so it was a team effort, right? So
Mm-hmm.
Sakura was keeping him alive to bring him to the Biju to bring him back to full health. It was a complex, layered plan, right? And
Mm-hmm.
Hagoromo said that he could not revive. Well, he might have been able to, but he wasn't going to, bring Naruto back, right? He was in the middle of being alive and dead. If he died, there's nothing the Biju could do. The Biju don't have revival hacks, right? So if he died, the Biju could not have been able to bring him back to life, and therefore the show would have been over. Madara would have won. Now, in addition to that, in addition to like the Biju not being able to revive you if you're dead, but what's the other thing? Obito as well. Obito did some help as well. But even if you think like, oh well, maybe they I don't know, maybe they could have done something or something, right? Just the fact that Sakura was doing that, just the fact that, oh god, the main character is about to die, let me save him. That's a use right there. Also, her I don't know if you remember this, but her station in the medical aspect of the war was it was like a manager position, right? It was she's in charge of all the other medical ninjas from everywhere else in the world, right? She's in charge of the leaf medical ninja, the stone medical ninja, the cloud, the rain, everything. All of them are under Sakura's control. So she was the brains behind all of the healing that's done in the entire war. That's crazy, bro. Like imagine that there's a world war between all the humans on the planet versus some weird alien creatures, right? I was gonna say white, but let me not say that. But yeah, against some alien creatures, right? And you're in charge of healing everyone that gets injured. That means the main character. That means these random other people. And by the way, before you say these random people are useless, right? It was stated that half of each side was killed in the first day, or not the first day, but like the first so often. I forgot the exact time frame, but half of both sides got wiped out. So remember all the white Zetsu Naruto was killing? Well, they made it easier for Naruto. So Sasuke was saving people who took out literally half of the army, which is insane, right? Literally, she helped take out half of the opponent's army. Naruto didn't do that. So in addition to that, let me see, what else was it? Also when she actually fought, it was way more than you were letting on as well, right? Because all of the Jubi clones. We saw Kiba with his ultimate transformation take on one. We saw Hinata take on like one. We saw a few people take on like a couple. Naruto not Naruto. Sakura one-shotted like 1,000 of them at the same time. Like it was wild, bro. Like it was crazy. And also when she summoned Katsuyu to heal everyone, that's also insane because again she just healed most of everyone on the battlefield, right? After, let me see, what else did she do? Let me see, I think that was most of it. If I think of anything else I'll tell you, but yeah, like that was insane. Again, quick little recap. Healed half of, like she healed everyone to such a degree that it was able to take out half of the opponent's army. She healed the main character and all this other stuff, right? Crazy. Actually contributed in the fight too by killing a ton of the enemy.
All right. So another two. Okay, so this is going back to the pain fight, but so this is kind of like a minor fight. So it was okay. So it happened right after the pain fight, right? When they were all going back to being happy, but then before that, when the team Taka, aka Sasuke's team, tried to like take out Killer Bee, right?
Mhm.
And then after that, when they took his tentacle because Killer Bee kind of finessed them, right? So and then those two Cloud Village people came, that girl and that guy came, right? Because of the Raikage, he asked them to go get permission from Danzo because he was gonna become Hokage because they all thought Tsunade wouldn't wake up, right? And so
Mhm.
he gave them permission to eliminate Sasuke because since he was a rogue ninja and all that, and they all thought that he took Killer Bee, which was Raikage's, brother, aka not brother but still brother, And so when they were fighting, it was with
Yeah.
Sai. It was with him, Sai, and Sakura. They were fighting against them, right? Out of nowhere, Sakura just gets like mollywopped. Like she gets like flown across the room just by like one kick. When Sai and Naruto were literally just fighting, and out
Wait,
of
from
nowhere,
who?
Sakura
Sorry, I
just
started phasing out. Wait, can you go back a little bit?
oh yeah, did I cut out like real quick?
No, no, that was me. That was my fault. I just
Oh,
started
that was
phasing
you.
out a
Okay.
little bit.
So it was back when the two Cloud Village people came, right? Because Danzo gave the Cloud Village permission to take out Sasuke, right? And so
Mhm.
they seen Naruto, right? Um, and then they fought with Naruto, him, and they fought with the two Cloud Village people that came fought Sai, Naruto, and Sakura, right? Sai and Naruto were holding the ground, and then out of nowhere, Sakura just gets straight up mollywopped. Like she just straight up gets finessed through the room. She straight up just gets like blown away with literally like one kick out of nowhere. She just got
Two
like
things.
blown.
One, can you show me that? And two, I'll explain why it doesn't matter.
Oh yeah, I'll show you. I'll have to find the fight real quick for you.
All right, yeah,
And
I'll
then
explain. I'll explain why it doesn't matter either way, and just in case you can't
yeah,
find it, I'll explain why it doesn't matter.
and then
So,
another
oh yeah, go on.
okay, and then going back to the pain fight. All right, so I get that she was doing her job, healing, right, killing the people, but Konohamaru, get this, a kid that's younger than Team Seven, Finette literally destroyed one of the pains with one Rasengan. When Sakura, I mean, don't get me
This,
wrong, Sakura did take out that one pain summoning thing, so that's kind of going a little overboard. But I mean, he actually took out a pain with Renegon when Sakura didn't really
okay,
do that. I mean, the thing did have the Renegon, but I don't know. It's kind of like that. The point I'm trying to make is going like both ways, if that makes sense.
okay, yeah, okay. So, question: does Sakura have the Rasengan?
No.
Okay. Now let me tell you something about the Rasengan. The Rasengan consistently allows you to one-shot people stronger than you, right?
Yeah.
Now, that's very and that's a fact, right? Because Naruto was getting duded on by Kabuto. He used the Rasengan to literally one-shot him, right? The Chidori is used to one-shot people relative to Sasuke. Like his normal, strength couldn't do anything to Gaara's like Sandome. He used the Chidori to penetrate it. That also could have been due to an element to weakness. I'm not even gonna lie to you.
Mm-hmm.
But other stuff like that, right? Like for instance, when Sasuke fights, like literally he gets punched, I believe, by Itachi, and then he thinks he can kill him with the Chidori for some reason.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously because
Mm-hmm.
it one-shots people, and then Naruto's able to use his Rasengan to equal out
Yeah.
with Sasuke's Chidori in their first fight in the Valley of the End. Now, the reason that's
Yeah.
important is because Sasuke was actually stronger than Naruto. And I'm talking about the first Rasengan Chidori clash, because they had two in that fight. People seem to
Mm-hmm.
forget about the first one. I had to
Mm-hmm.
find it for my my kid Sasuke video. Shameless plug.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
so they have a Rasengan Chidori clash, and Sasuke was clapping Naruto. Like, he was literally destroying him. He was botting him through 8
Yeah.
tables in the source, right? And then they do this Rasengan Chidori clash, and they're equal. They stalemate. They both get blown back, and they're like, oh crap. Sasuke's like, dang it, I'm not strong enough to do on him. And then
Yeah.
Naruto's like, oh god, he's really trying to kill me. So yeah. So the Rasengan allows you to do that, right? So that, if anything, that's just Konohamaru having like plot armor, because Naruto just conveniently decided to teach him the Rasengan.
Actually,
And
yeah, that
yeah,
technically
the
is
thing
kind
about
of
the
plot armor.
Rinnegan,
Mm-hmm.
yeah, and the thing
Yeah.
about the Rinnegan, right, is Now, the path of pain that Konohamaru beat was the one that rips your tongue out, right? That path of
Oh yeah.
pain isn't really a fighter. Like
Oh
that
yeah.
one,
Like that pain
like
wasn't
it
really
doesn't
like
really
the
fight people.
stronger one, I guess you could say. Like it wasn't really the because you know how like the six pains all have six different abilities with the Rinnegan. So I
Yeah,
guess that's true because
yeah,
the
they have
fact that
different
it's not,
abilities.
yeah. So it's not like one of the stronger ones.
Yeah, and the summoning pain, its summonings are its entire shtick, right? It
Yeah.
summons things to fight you, right? And the entire reason it's so strong is because of that. It summons summonings to fight you. So you
Yeah.
can like sort of take that as Sakura one-shotting the summoning pain, which is one of the stronger ones, unlike the one Konohamaru beat down. Also, you can say, well, he beat one of the pains. Well, Sakura, if you really want to go there, she did the equivalent of beating a pain and she saved people.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
she was
I get that.
definitely useful in more ways than one.
Yeah. Yeah.
Have anything else you want to go over, or are you convinced?
I'm trying to think what else we could go over. Let's see. Because other than that, soccer really hasn't really had any other fights besides those ones. I mean, okay, so this one's kind of dumb. This one's like beyond, like just be for real. This one's kind of stupid to say, but the another reason why I say that she's kind of useless, and this they by far is probably the stupidest point I ever made. But I mean, when she did train with Sonata, because all three of the Sani trained with them, it technically was kind of irrelevant because it was she trained her in the filler. Okay, she was trained in the filler, so it was a little kind of irrelevant to the story if it was in the filler. But I mean, but still though, it's still important to the storyline. It was just in the filler, if that makes sense. But that's kind of like a
Um,
not a that's kind of like a vague point to make to that statement.
so
So
you basically mean that like because her training wasn't on screen except for in the filler?
yeah, so I'm pretty
'Cause-
much I was just kind of like
Okay,
saying
because
that since
yeah, you can go on.
oh, okay. Yeah. I was just pretty much saying that that since she wasn't that Sonata didn't train her in the canon episodes, that it's kind of like kind of irrelevant since it like because technically filler, even though it's not part of the main storyline, doesn't necessarily mean it's not important. Because since you know how back to the Konohamaru defeating that pain with the Rasengan, even though that was
Mhm.
that Naruto taught him that in the filler, that doesn't mean that wasn't important because if it wasn't important, it wouldn't have showed it. So even though like it wasn't really said in the it wasn't really like they didn't train her like Sonata didn't train her in the canon episodes, it's not that it doesn't mean it's not irrelevant, but it also means that it's not like how to say it as much how it was when Jiraiya Sensei you know, trained Naruto. Like
Yeah,
it wasn't
I
as
get you. I get
important.
you. I get what you're.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah, I get what you're getting at. So
yeah.
basically, I'm just gonna say that even though they didn't show what her training was in the manga per
Hmm.
se,
Yeah,
um, because it's been a while since I read that part, so
yeah,
I'm just gonna grandstand that, right?
yeah.
But I don't think that really matters because in the manga they still stated that that Tsunade was about to train Sakura,
Hmm.
and and it is brought up in the manga that she was getting Tsunade's training,
Hmm.
and it's even in the data books. It's even in the data books that like yeah she's getting trained by Tsunade. She's like midway through her training. She's
Yeah,
the time for her being ready to blossom is here, right? She's gonna
yeah.
catch up to her other teammates and this and that, right? So yeah,
Hmm.
it was stated that Tsunade did train her. Like just because it wasn't on
Yeah.
screen, I don't think that's like I don't think
Hmm.
that means she's useless because
Yeah,
her training isn't
yeah,
on screen.
yeah. All right. So I can come to the agreement. I don't know if you'll agree with me on this, but I can come to the agreement that I'd say that Sakura is more useful than useless because you the points that you said were very specific and very explained like you know with the war arc and all that. So I'd say I come to the agreement that she's more useful than useless, but I wouldn't say like but I wouldn't say that that she hasn't been useless because I mean, like, because you know how I would say like what if scenarios and stuff, even though they're like what if and they didn't really
Uh-huh.
contribute to the storyline, you can still technically use it in that situation, like with the pain, not with the pain fight, like the
Um.
yeah, like the
So you. So would you agree with me that Naruto's useless?
that who's useless?
That Naruto's useless. Naruto.
Um, it's kind of hard on that one. No, I don't know though because he's the MC, so it's kind of hard to say that the MC is useless or not when he's the main character.
Okay, let me put it this way: more of Naruto's fights, he's had help. In most of Naruto's fights, people have helped him. And one of the points you made is like, well, what if this person didn't help, right? What if these people didn't help? What if the people
Mhm.
that helped Naruto didn't help? Most of
Mhm.
them, he would have died.
I mean that's true, and plus, but I mean he did have Kurama, so in a way Kurama would have helped him anyways. So in a
Not
way, like
necessarily.
it's kind of hard to say that he's useless and not useless because he's only if you think about it, yeah, he is the MC,
Okay, wait,
but
wait,
he's
wait. Real quick. Remember how you?
but
So let's extend this hypothetical even further. What if he didn't have Kurama? Because
mhm.
Kurama is a person to help him, I suppose.
Oh, he'd
Under
be
this
straight up
context.
useless. He'd be useless. He wouldn't even be like relevant in the story. If he didn't have Kurama, he'd
Right.
literally he'd be weaker than Sakura and Sasuke.
Okay. Now, did you know Sasuke also has help in most of his fights?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So what if Sasuke didn't have the help in most of his fights? Wouldn't you agree that he'd be useless as well?
He would have just died. Like he got mad plot armor with half of his fight, so he
Right.
would have just
Exactly.
died. Yeah.
Yeah. So wouldn't you agree that like even Kakashi, if Kakashi didn't have help against Zabuza, he would have died. So Kakashi's useless too, right?
Yes and no.
Okay, why no?
Okay. Yes, because the reason why is it says if you're going with the same like logic with those, he'd be useless because he needed help, and if he didn't have help, he would have died, right? But then at the same time, he did end up getting help and did ended up
Yes.
winning the fight. So it'd be like a yes and no type thing, if that makes sense.
Got it. Yeah.
Yeah.
So let me see. So therefore, all of the characters in this show, like even Tsunade, right? If she didn't have the rest of the 5 Kage against Madara, she would have died instantly. If
Probably.
you know,
Actually, yeah, she would have died because
if
yeah.
Guy, if Eighth Gate Guy didn't have help from Kakashi and Minato, he would have died. If
Actually,
let's
yeah, that's
see, who
true.
else can I think of? Let me see who
That's true.
else.
Yeah.
If who else can I think of?
Just do
If
Sasuke and
who
you
else
think he'll
matters?
be fine.
Gara. I mean, Gara's. Oh yeah, exactly. So if let me see who else. Those are the main people that do anything. If if all of the characters are useless via the logic you brought forth earlier, that would mean that none of the characters are useless because useless is no use usually in comparisons to something else. And if everything else is useless by that logic, then you can't use that logic anymore.
If I'm being honest, the person I would say would be more useless in the whole show would probably be Ten. She literally did nothing during the whole show.
Yeah, she yeah, she is the most useless character. There's
Like
no refutations for
now
that.
that
I
I
agree
look at
fully.
it,
I
yeah,
agree.
yeah. Now that I look at it,
Yo, in
Sakura
my
isn't.
top 5 least favorite characters video, my top 5 worst Naruto characters video,
Uh-huh.
Ten, spoiler alert, Ten was number 1. So,
Yeah,
yeah.
exactly. She literally like did nothing. I mean, okay, so there was this one scene with Sakura.
Yeah.
It doesn't necessarily mean she was useless. I mean, it does, but it doesn't. But it's the part when, because you know when Madara got, because when he used so when he used Obito's Rene Rebirth, right? Because of Zetsu, Black Zetsu, he used
Mhm.
Rene Rebirth on Madara, so he could get so he could get revived from being reanimated, right? And then because he stole Nagato's Obito stole Nagato's Renegon, but then Madara stole it back, which because they were originally his Rinnegan anyway. Sakura easily had the chance to prevent the war from even from going to even in a different perspective because um um if she would have just stabbed Obito's eye without like stuttering and prolonging it, the war could have ended faster. But then at the same time, even though the war did go in the way that it was supposed to, they ended up winning anyway because of Sakura in a way. So I mean, it's like yes and no once again, like to that same thing.
Okay, right. So I'll go for that, right? So
Yeah.
her not stabbing the Rinnegan.
Yeah.
Okay, so the thing about that, right, is when it comes to like destroying the Rinnegan, that whole thing is arguably like you can unironically argue that that was a good thing, because
Mm-hmm.
if it wasn't for that, then when Obito got his second eye back, like sure Madara he would have been like a little bit weaker. Not that that really matters, because like Naruto and like some people think Madara would have beaten Naruto and Sasuke. I disagree with that. Um, but maybe it would have made it a little easier if he had one
Mm-hmm.
like one less eye. Although
Yeah.
again, the issue with that, right, is if that eye was still in his head but stabbed. I don't know if you know how eye transplants work, right? But
Yeah.
it's infinitely harder to remove mushy eyes, right? Like, okay, think of it like if you have mashed potatoes in an eye socket as
Yeah.
opposed to nothing. It's gonna be much harder to clean the mashed potatoes out of the eye socket and then put the new eye in than it would be to just put the new eye in. And like
Yeah.
DMS Obito, like we already went over earlier, was very important in the fight with Kaguya. Hold on, give me a sec.
So, how's your day going, sir? Ah, Alex. Alex,
What's up?
how's your day going, sir?
It's been all right. I had to go get
Perfect.
my stupid gay flu shot today, so that sucked, and my arm hurts like hell right now.
Imagine
Yeah,
not
I had
having a
mine.
natural resistance to any disease. Couldn't be me.
Couldn't me.
Okay, I'm back.
No, I had mine like a month ago now, but yeah.
Yeah, I hate having flu shots, dude.
Okay, I'm back. What? Do you have a response to that?
So you were talking about like the Kaguya, right, and the eye thing and all that. So I kind of do because like how you said, even though if it was because even if he did ended up getting the Rinnegan, like if Sakura even ended up dead, not like even if she ended up dead stabbing Obito's left eye, which was the Rinnegan, the outcome still would have probably been the same either way because because Black Zetsu would have killed Madara anyway, even if he had the one eye, and then he still would have revived Kaguya, so it probably would have still had the same outcome. So I guess you could say that even if she did or didn't stab Obito's left eye, aka the Rinnegan, it probably wouldn't have made much of a difference because Kaguya probably still would have been revived due to the eye that was on the eye that was on Madara's forehead when all that, and that's what made Kaguya
Yeah,
come
the
back. The
yeah
seal
the
thing.
Rene Sharingan was still there, so Kaguya probably would have got brought back. Yeah.
Yeah. So it probably
Yeah. For
so she
some
would have
reason,
gone.
whenever I talk about shipping, I usually take Kaguya out of the table.
Yeah. So yeah.
Are we ready for conclusions, or are we still going?
Yes, sir.
Or do you agree?
Wait, they say that you
Hold
like
on, because
cut
I'm
out.
trying to like convince you here. Oh yeah, I was saying.
The
Wait, do you like agree, or do you have any other points you want to bring up?
I agree. I agree, but then I don't because the thing is, even because the thing is, if you think about it, the fight, like the stuff that, like the fights that Sakura did ending up like Summer doing, like even because you know how she saved Naruto multiple times in the show, right? Naruto also saved her multiple times in the show too. So that can also go vice versa both ways because they both saved each other multiple times, and then plus Sakura easily would have been if it wasn't for Kakashi and Naruto, Sakura probably would have died by Kakashi long ago because when it was like right when like it was after the fight with Danzo, Sakura went to go, murk, quote unquote murk Sasuke, but Sasuke was about to do that to her, but then Kakashi out of nowhere saved her, and then he was about to do the same thing, but then out of nowhere Naruto pulls up and then saves her to the fight. So like I agree that she's not that useless on how on how I put her as useless.
Hold on, wait, hold on. Someone's talking to me.
Yo, what the fuck? Dude, I don't know what just happened, but I literally go in TikTok and literally my TikTok's having a full-on argument in the comment section, dude. I went from 16 likes to 58, and like, yeah, they're arguing over retarded stuff. So
Let's go.
Sakura versus all of 7 deadly sins.
Yes, bro, definitely.
Fuck off. We've been sitting here for like 2 hours. No.
Heck yeah.
You gotta do it,
No.
bro. Gotta
No.
do it. Come on,
No.
bro.
No, we are not doing that. We've been sitting here for 2
Wait, what's happening?
fucking hours.
Okay, what were you saying? You were saying
Okay,
something about
sorry
Danzo?
about that. My mom walked in my room, so I had to end the call. But okay, so I was saying about like how it went both ways on how Sakura and Naruto saved each other. So I'm saying that like even though Sakura isn't useless in most situations and most
Let
of
me
the
ask you a
fights in
question.
the show. What's up?
Would, if everyone is useless, is anyone really useless?
Yes, I know because someone can be very useful but also be useless at the same time because someone can be
Okay.
useful but then do
Okay, so
useless things.
hold on. This is a chain of reasoning. Hold on. This is a chain of reasoning.
Mm-hmm.
So if 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 I'm only useful in a team and everyone else is also only useful, no, if I'm useful in a team and everyone's only useful in a team,
Mm-hmm.
why would why would everyone be useless if we have each other?
That kind of like works both ways in a way because the thing is together you would be like because like two teams together, let's say like two teams were put together, right? That would be very useful, right? But then if someone from that team would
Right.
be separated, they'd be useless because they wouldn't have backup nor anybody to help them during the fight.
Right. So what that would mean is that everyone, as long as they're in the team that they're in, they would be useful. But if they got taken out that team, then they would be useless, right?
So if you actually think about it, in reality, every Naruto character is technically useful and useless because they're all useful in a way, but then they're also all useless also in the same way. So if you really put it into like a real
Right. So like
conclusion,
that's what I was getting at.
yeah,
That's what I was. Hold on. That's what I was getting at, right? If
yeah,
they're all useful in a team, right? Every last one of them, if you put them in a team, they're useful. But on their
Mhm.
own, they're useless. But they're never on their own, ever in the entire
Exactly.
series, right?
hmm
Then
hmm
wouldn't that inherently mean that they're useful at every point in the series
So it pretty much
because
just
they're on a
like
team?
exactly. So it pretty much just means that like like if you really think about it, everyone in the show is useful. They're just they can be useless because even
They
if it
can
wasn't
be useless
for
potentially. All right, we can wrap this up.
yeah, pretty much.
Okay.
So
So that's basically what I was trying to get you to admit to, because
Mhm.
that was my entire premise at the beginning, was that overall she's useless. Like that's what that analogy was for. Because
Yeah.
if you know she's useless if she's useless without a team, but useful in a team, and she always has a team, then she's always useful in the series.
Mhm.
You know, you can again say without these people, but again, she isn't without those people.
Yeah.
So, you get what I'm getting at?
Yeah,
Okay.
I do. 100%.
Yeah. Okay. So you agree with my premise? Sweet.
Yes, sir. So all it really comes
Cool.
down to is
Okay.
that everyone's useful, but then anyone can be useless in a way, if that makes sense.
So what does everyone else think about this discussion? Since he
Yeah, what
just
do you
agreed
guys
with my
think?
premise.
Like, do you guys say that like everyone in the Narutoverse is useful, but at the same time they all can be useless because for certain scenarios, because like how he said that everyone in the show's together, right? Not everyone, like literally, they're never by themselves, right?
Yeah,
They always have like a teammate.
okay, so you conceded to I like didn't hear much of the last part, so you conceded to Geek's main premise, right? Yo, Alex, hello?
Wait, what's up? What's good?
So you conceded to Geek's main premise, right? Like you conceded to him saying that Sakura isn't useless, right?
Yeah, pretty much because
Okay.
all I said because he was trying to prove the point that Sakura isn't useless, right? But then I just came up to but then we agreed on the point that in a way everyone in the show would technically be useless because like they're all useful, but then they're also all useless in a way too. Because you can be useful,
Yeah.
you can be like a very useful person, but then do useless things, you know. So that's pretty much what they
If you want,
agreed
I can
on.
reiterate the yeah. If you want me, I can reiterate the entire like sort of line of reasoning. It's not super long. If you want, I can like reiterate to you what exactly he agreed to.
Okay, sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So basically, what I was saying, right, is I said that if say you have a group of people, right, and all of them on their own are useless, but in a team they're useful. Now say those people are always in a team. They're never by themselves. They would always be useful, right? And that's
Mm-hmm.
basically Sakura along with most of the
Much.
people in Naruto. Most of the people in
Pretty much.
Naruto only fight in teams. And without their team, you can say they're useless. But they're always in a team and they are useful in a team, so they would always be useful. The only thing you can really say is if they were alone, they'd be useful. They would be useless if they were alone. But again, they're never alone at all in the show,
Exactly.
period. Except for
Pretty much.
like when they're on the toilet or something.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So, I think the Geek won just due to concession, obviously, and also.
Well, okay, so
Okay.
this one wasn't necessarily a debate. He just wanted to try to prove he just wanted to explain why she wasn't
Yeah, okay.
useless. So
Well,
it
yeah.
wasn't necessarily a debate.
Do you think it was a
just
debate,
like-
Kluge?
I mean, technically, that is kind of a debate.
Yeah, it is a debate.
It is,
I
but
would consider
it is a debate, but it wasn't meant for someone to win or lose, if that makes
We didn't. It was a debate, but it wasn't established that it was official.
sense. Yeah.
Yeah,
pretty
yeah.
much.
So
But it
basically,
still
just
was a
in like,
debate.
yeah, in just the
It
whole
was
debate
it
and
was
like
just a
just
yeah.
arguing his point,
Yeah.
Yeah, it was
like
pretty much
correctly. I think that Geek did very good. Good job. But,
Mhm.
Yeah, I think fucking
Yeah, I think
whatever.
Geek definitely won
Yeah,
that.
Geek is taking dubs all day in my server, bro. 2-0. Okay, yeah, that's really all I have to say. Ugh.
Yeah, that was a good little
I like that.
discussion
That
we
was
had.
actually really good, to be honest.
Are we done?
Okay, yeah, yeah, I think so. Yeah. Anyone else have anything they want to say before I end it off my end of the recording?
I need to get milk.
I hope your channel gets terminated.
Yes, Spurg. Yeah.
That was
Who
good, though.
should I shout out? Shout out to Punk Rider.
Yo,
Shout out to
they can
Bravo.
still do it,
Shout out to the
London.
the other people in VC.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. All right. I'll mute indefinitely while I end off the recording. Hold on.
All right.
Mm-hmm.
Dude, everybody is so
Oh,
butthurt, bro.
oh my
Oh,
god.
Dude,
Bro,
read
hold
DMs.
on. That recording, for some reason, hold on. The recording.